What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. So we do make kind of a decent amount of videos on, canceled, maybe potential future champions, but those are only really possible when Riot releases bits of information behind their development process. But, really, they aren't the only champions that are worked on though, and we probably don't even get to see and we probably only get to see such a small, insignificant amount of the concepts that Riot have worked on for League of Legends. And so we've done some research and taken a look at some clues and just some bits and pieces of information to get some hints at some secret champions that have never really been mentioned to the public by Riot. And we don't really have stuff like artwork though for these because they are kind of just concepts, things that really don't have much information surrounding them because they are secret champions in a sense. So we found some pretty awesome concept art for each design to help you guys visualize what these champions might have actually looked like in the game. And if you guys enjoy the video, definitely hit that like button and let's begin. So first up, we've got a concept known as the Heavy Hextech Chain Gunner. This champion concept was mentioned as one of the concepts that was competing for the same design space that Jinx was aiming to fill. There were apparently some really cool bits to his design, and judging by his size and the fact that Riot are just crazy about visual clarity, that probably means he was maybe a little bit more tanky than your average AD carry. What we do know is that since Jinx won the war for the Chain Gunner design space, if Riot ended up turning the Heavy into a finished champion concept, he would definitely be changed to occupy a different gameplay niche. We found a really cool piece of art of a Heavy Gunner by John of the North that might give you a little bit of idea of what this character might have looked like if he was made into the game. He'd have like a minigun maybe instead of a rifle, but aside from that, the technological look could work really well since he was kind of meant to be sort of like this Hextech character. Either way, it's definitely not the conventional minigun style look, but it does look pretty badass and it seems like Riot could maybe do something similar. Next up, we've got a totem or a shaman sort of champion, something that Riot Ezreal had been working on in the past. The concept was that he would have one totem that he could put down pretty much anywhere, and then you would use the totem to fire your abilities out from the totem no matter where you were on the map, so at a global range pretty much. So for example, one of the ways that this mechanic might have worked is that you could drop a totem at the Dragon Pit, recall back to base, and then the totem would still let you target abilities at the Dragon Pit because they would fire out from the totem instead of actually firing out from your champion. So the totem shaman concept is something that Blizzard made really popular actually, but for Riot they decided one magical totem was enough rather than letting the shaman place multiple totems or different kinds of totems. We've heard in the past that Riot experimented with firing abilities out of ward-like items and such like that, so maybe Ezreal's secret shaman champion was how it was done. And for a visual representation, we found this really awesome piece of a Warcraft Tauren Shaman by Dave Raposa that might give you a pretty cool feeling about what a totem shaman character might have looked like. Our next secret champion was an awesome new breed of assassin from Riot Groovy Lord, who designed an assassin's kit that was essentially based on him stealing your stats. For example, he would maybe dash through you to steal your movement speed, attack you to take your armor, and his ultimate would take your attack damage and ability power and then kill you with it. Which really sounds crazy strong because he'd end up being able to just completely destroy tanks, also making himself tanky in the process, but it's still a pretty awesome concept even if it would be just a nightmare to balance. The stat-stealing assassin never made it into the game for playtesting though, but somewhere at Riot HQ, there's a badass assassin kit that could potentially show up one day in the future. We've got another piece of fan art to help you visualize what this character might have looked like. This time it's a fan art of the assassin from Puzzle Quest 2 by Sandara. Being able to steal stats is a super magical ability, so it would make sense for this type of character to be like a spell sword sort of guy that really saps your strength with his magic while also making himself more powerful. But he is still an assassin, so he's got to use that dagger, gotta have that iconic weapon, and overall this character concept comes out quite nicely. The next character concept is something that was posted about a champion that would work as a librarian. And Riot Ezreal was pretty impressed with the sort of idea concept, and he kind of hinted at that Riot had tried to make a paper mage sort of concept work in the past. There were a lot of different versions, You know, it started with someone who used paper to maybe change words that would then have a bunch of different effects. It later on became more of like a rune mage that would place runes on the ground and then detonate them, you know, kind of like the traps from Skyrim if you've ever played that. The biggest issues were that he was so unique that people actually couldn't really quite figure out where his power was coming from in the gameplay, and as a result it was really difficult to make him look and especially feel really cool to play. The same goes for Alchiriza's librarian concept. As awesome as it is, making a librarian look like a badass fun champion is gonna be actually quite difficult in a game full of void creatures, dragons, and shadow assassins. One potential way to maybe make this champion concept work would to potentially have some kind of really well educated magic knight, like this concept we found from Samarski. He could still have like a really cool appearance, be able to fight like any of the other champions, but with cool rune play by placing spells on the ground instead of firing them off like normal abilities. And for the next character, we're taking a look at someone that was a double-bladed samurai that Riot Ezreal developed a little bit back in the past. And the interesting part about a character design like this is really just figuring out if he was meant to be fighting multiple opponents at one time rather than just one at a time, unlike someone like Master Yi, who's kind of focused on just slicing up one dude at a time outside of using his Q. You know, there's a lot of really cool things you could do with a guy wielding two swords. You know, you could attack with one, block with the other, maybe just go all out crazy with both swords at once to deal extra damage, but for whatever reason Riot couldn't get the concept to work in game at the time, and the gameplay kits didn't really work out. However, Riot Ezreal did tease a little bit that he would come back someday, which kind of makes us think that this character concept, after some changes, some redesigns, might have actually become Yasuo, since Yasuo kind of occupies that samurai design space, while also being super adept at fighting numerous enemies at once. Yasuo's a little bit more laid back and kind of like unarmored as far as a samurai goes though, but we did find a pretty sweet piece of artwork from Elgion that gives us a really cool idea of what this samurai or Ronin with two swords kind of character in League might have ended up looking like. Either way, that's just about going to wrap things up for today. We tried kind of something a little bit new here as far as showing the art pieces go, but I hope you guys like the format. There's not really too much information about these champions out there. I mean, that's what makes them kind of secret in the first place, right? But with the concept art, it does make it a lot easier to visualize what they might have looked like in the game, and who knows, I mean, maybe these secret champions are just iceboxed and could maybe show up again in the future in some way, shape, or form, kind of like the double-bladed samurai did with Yasuo. Either way, definitely let us know in the comments below about which one of these character concepts was your favorite, and definitely show some love to the artist that came up with the concept art. Either way, looks like that's going to be it for me. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.